these segments is you guys watching the highlights from a year ago, because there were some big smiles on the faces. It was a memorable year last year.
Yes, it was, for
yes.
sure.
All right, Tyreem, I'm going to start with you, because I'm just going to say it. I'm curious if you want to host this segment, because you now host my favorite podcast, Ream and Beam Unplugged. I went deep on that podcast the other night. I mean, you guys are terrific, you and Robert Longerbeam. So if you want to take over at any point, if you don't think I'm doing a good enough job as a host, you have that right, all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah?
Thank you, though.
Okay.
Thank you about that.
What is it like? And you see some of the footage there, and both of you have been guests on the podcast, which, Mo, I think you were guest number 1 and you were guest number 2?
I was 3, yeah.
You were 3. Okay. I didn't want to bring that up, but now that we're talking about it, if there's anything you want to say.
You're good.
No, but I got to ask you, because I think it is interesting when you become a media member, quote unquote. I mean, you're hosting a podcast. Do you think about media differently and how you're answering questions?
Yeah, I would say you do. It's just, for us, it was just getting the personality out there that fans don't get to see, and putting our teammates on there, coaches as well, and just getting that personality out there for the fans.
It's fun to see you guys together, because, again, it's one thing for me to sit here and ask you questions. I feel like if he was hosting or one of you guys would hosting, you'd be getting a lot better stuff. But tell me about the experience of going on the podcast.
It was definitely a great experience, Like he said, you really get to see our true, how we act just around each other in general, because it's different between a teammate interviewing you and somebody you don't know interviewing you. So they get to see our real personalities and who we really are and how we just interact with each other on a day-to-day basis.
So what do I need to do to get your real personality? What's the key here?
Just get to know me a little better. That's
okay,
all
right, then let's get to know you a little bit better. I think about, when I look at this program, and there's so much uncertainty and instability in college football, and I look at Rutgers, and it feels like you guys are rock solid. And, of course, last year you took a major leap. Your head coach signs an extension, you bring in a top 20 recruiting class, you win a bowl game. All of these things seem like they are moving in the right direction, and there's some real stability. So from your standpoint, and I'll start with you, Mo, what does it feel like right now? Give me a sense for what this Rutgers program is all about.
It's definitely different from the past. Like right now, I feel like the leadership on the team has taken a step that we need to take in the right direction, Like, this is a player-led team. We control things, we run things, we say how things go, and that's how we want it to be. We'll go as far as we take ourselves, but it's definitely different from the past, though.
Kyle, when I look at you, I mean, you lead the league in rushing last year, but what impresses me most when I look at that stat is 866 of those yards came after contact. So you are earning every single thing that you are getting. I know that leading the league in rushing was a goal of yours. You achieved that. So now what's next? What's the next step in your game, and what are you looking forward to this year?
Yeah, it was a goal of mine, but not one that I focused on, and I think I was able to achieve it with not having it at the front of my head. I think I was just taking everything day by day, taking practice at a time, and then allowing myself to just play freely on Saturdays. And the O-line, shout out to them. They just did their thing all season long and allowed me to just do what I do. So for this year, I'm taking the same approach, not changing anything else. I did it last year, like you said. That's a great thing. It's a new year, and we'll see how I end up at the end of the season if I just put one foot in front of the other every day and then just take it week by week.
You're well-trained in media, because if you're a running back and you have a microphone in your hand, you have to thank your offensive line.
Those
I
are
think
my guys.
You should, at least. So good job on that. Obviously, you and Sam Brown, a great 1-2 punch. Tell me about the depth, though, in this running back room.
Yeah, we've come a long way. I think they've made a lot of strides. I'm really proud of where the position group is as a unit. Just some other guys. You mentioned Sam Brown. I think he's going to have a great year. Deshaun Benjamin, who you saw a little peek of last year, got a few carries, and he's come onto the scene, made some great strides this offseason. Some other guys that are young, Antoine Raymond, a freshman that just came in from Canada, actually skipped his senior year, and I think he'll help us win some games this year, just the way he works. He's young, he skipped his senior year, obviously, like I said. But the way he works is parallel to none, just because he's a 17-year-old kid and he already understands what it takes to be a college athlete. And I think I commend him for that. And then some other young guys that are figuring it out, Gabe Winovich, Ed Guerriere, they're finding their way. And then other guys in the room, Donovan Delaney, Jordan Kinsler. Just as a unit, we hold each other together and we compete. So when everybody's competing, it just rises the level of competition, and it makes us better day in and day out.
Well said. And Tyreem, I want to check in and see how you're doing, because obviously you're a big piece of this defense and everyone wants to know how you're feeling. Coach said you're on pace to be able to go for the season opener. But what have you learned about yourself? I think there's sometimes when you're rehabbing, it can be lonely. A lot of guys talk about just how hard it is to be away from your teammates. But what has this been like for you, and how are you feeling physically?
Yeah, at first it was extremely hard, but having guys like Mo and Kyle and then my other teammates back home, they kept me up throughout the whole process. I know it was going to be a long road to recover from this type of injury, but having these guys beside me and being with me. I've been just attacking my rehab and taking it day by day.
Do you have a different perspective on the game?
No, I really don't. Since I've been out, I've just been viewing it differently, just watching my teammates go to work every day, trying to help them when I was out, just coach them on the sideline, from the sidelines. So,
Mo, you know what it's like to sit out with an injury and how hard that can be to be away from your team. You know, you were a finalist for Comeback Player of the Year last season. What did your time away mean to you? And now that, you know, you think about where you're able to come back and do next year, how are you feeling physically?
Physically, I'm feeling good. You know, I'm feeling very healthy. You know, knees not bothering me at all. And just, like, having Reem, he was there for me last year when I was hurt. Football is kind of like a coping mechanism for me. Like, I use football to escape from reality at times. You know, when I'm playing football, I'm having fun. I'm with my friends. I'm just enjoying my time. So not having that for that year was kind of tough. Like, I had guys like Tyreem, Kyle, and my other brothers on my team that just lifted me up throughout the whole year and just kept me up and kept giving me words of encouragement and just letting me help them. That brought me peace. That helped me sleep at night, just letting me help them, coach them up, you know, and just doing the same for Reem now when he's in this situation, you know, just being there for him, giving him words of encouragement. But he's been keeping up himself, though, at the same time. Yeah. Like, I'm proud of him because he hasn't he hasn't put any doubt in himself. He's kept his head up, and he's just coming every single day to just keep working and just keep chopping. And he continues to motivate our group, not even just me, our whole linebacker unit. So
I do think the mental part of coming back from an injury is just as important as the physical rehab. But you mentioned the brothers on your team. You actually do have a brother on the team. What's that like?
It's honestly amazing, you know, like just having him there every single day. Like, at first, I didn't want to be too hard on him, you know, because it's my brother. He's been around me his whole life. He's been hearing my mouth since God knows how long, you know. So it's just like, but watching him become his own man, you know, watching him grow into his own man and becoming who he wants to be and just watching him fall in love with the process. It's been amazing, you know. He's just been grinding and just trying to get better so he can be the player that he wants to be and just growing into the man that he wants to be, so.
You know, there are so many storylines on this team. I could keep you guys here all day, but one of the guys I want to talk to you about is Timmy Ward. And, you know, I was just really understanding his story. Hodgkin's lymphoma survivor, joined the team 3 years ago as a student manager, started as a walk-on, and then had that moment in the bowl game last year where he recovered the go-ahead touchdown. Just what does he bring to this team, and what was that moment like? What do you remember about it?
Yeah, that Timmy's story is like one of the most inspirational stories I've ever even heard, and to see him day in and day out, like sometimes I just look at him like you really worked yourself to get to this point, not only just for football and life, like, you know, to be able to overcome that. And you know, Timmy's an inspiration. He's a great teammate to even be around, and a great person more than anything. And you know, I remember before he was on the team when he was a student equipment manager, and he was, you know, running around, and then he said he was going to try out. I said, all right. And then next thing I know, he had a locker in the locker room. I said, wow, you really, you know, you did it. You said you were going to do it, and you did. So he's just an inspiration, and I couldn't be happier and proud of him.
It's awesome. And to have guys like that, again, in the locker room, it's just the perspective, I think, that is so important to be able to have around. You guys play USC on a Friday night at the Coliseum, and it's an 11 p.m. Eastern kickoff time. I know you know that, but just, you know, have you thought about being able to go play in that venue and what it's going to be like to go out to LA and play in the Coliseum, and B, kind of the logistics around that? Is that something you guys have talked about?
Yeah, for us, I think it's going to be a lot of fun just going out there on the West Coast and playing football, doing something you love at the end of the day. But yeah, it's going to be different for us, but we look forward to the challenge, and we can't wait for that opportunity.
Well, you guys are no longer the new guys in the conference now. What was it like when you found out that Oregon and Washington and USC and UCLA were going to be joining the Big Ten?
I was excited, honestly. You know, I feel like it's going to be good for the Big Ten, and a lot of those teams that were added, I haven't been to those places, you know, so just getting the opportunity to go out there and play at USC this year. I've never been to California, you know, I've never played in the Coliseum. That's just a dream. Like, you grow up watching those teams play, you know, and just seeing those stadiums, those legendary places. So just being able to go compete against them, it's amazing. I love being able to have the opportunity.
I love that. You're going to love it. Be careful of the horse traveler. I almost got run over by the horse. It's a live horse, yeah, so I'll give you that tip.
Okay.
Tell me what you're most looking forward to, because I think there's plenty of things as you look at your guys' schedule, and I mentioned the Friday night's games. You also host Washington in the Big Ten opener in late September. What, you know, I know yes, you have to think about game one, and that's the only thing. But as you look ahead, what are some of the venues you're excited to go to besides the Coliseum, and what do you think of when you look at the schedule?
I wouldn't say any venue particularly. I'll just say that this is the most different schedule I think I've had since I've been in college. 2 bye weeks, one really early at that as well after 2 games. So it's going to be a different type of season just in terms schedule wise. And like you said, like you mentioned, the West Coast game, that's going to be a little different logistically. But just taking it day by day and game by game. So we try not to think too much ahead. Howard's our first opponent that we have, so we're going to be focused on them. I know we got some Friday night games in there. Howard's a Thursday game, so whatever's in front of us, we're just going to put our head down and chop it. Yeah.
Well said. Okay, last thing I'm going to let you guys go. Tyreem, what do I have to do to be a guest on your podcast? Like, what's
we welcome all guests.
You do welcome all guests.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to follow up because
Please
22 is my favorite number, and I like East Coast pizza. And other than that, I don't know what qualifications I have to be on your podcast.
Yeah, we would love to have you on the show.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank
Best
you for
of luck
having
this
us.
season.
Thank you.
Watching you.